I've always liked tall women. You know how it is, we all have our preferences. But I'm not sure that animals do. A big part of raising animals is, of course, breeding these animals and making more of them. And that'll be this video's topic, animal breeding. My name is Joe, and I live here off-grid in the high deserts of southern Arizona, and I'm building an off-grid homestead. This is my channel, Off-Grid Solitude, and please like and subscribe if you find this content interesting. It really helps out the channel. Who really knows what breeding preferences animals have? I mean, they can't tell us and we can't read their mind. But from what I've seen, it has a lot more to do with timing, breeding cycles and hormones and just whoever's closest. Animals definitely make friends. They prefer the company of some animals to others. When they go to lie down at night, they'll probably lie next to the same animal each night. They're kind of buddies. But that doesn't seem to affect breeding too much. It depends on the animal, of course. They fight over each other, and there's a lot of mate guarding. But fortunately, there's a lot that humans can do to kind of guide that situation. Physically separating the animals or putting together in the right time or even artificial insemination. Now, I'm a simple guy and I don't do a lot of that stuff, but there is still some stuff to think about when it comes to breeding animals. I remember my rabbits did have some preferences in their mates, though. I had two separate pens for my rabbits, kind of in a colony setup. And I had my main colony, and I had a secondary colony, which we started off with just a breeding pair. But the female didn't really like the male, and so she finally tunneled under into the other pen and to find a mate. So that poor male. But don't feel too bad for him because he found plenty of other mates and he had many children himself. So I think it was more about timing and hormones and pheromones and things like that. So I don't really know. It usually works out in the end, but it's something to be aware of if you're trying to force certain animals together. They may not cooperate. My plan was to get some pigs and to sell the babies as opposed to process and butcher the pigs myself. I'm here by myself and I really just don't eat that much. So a whole pig is a lot of food, even a small pig for me. So I figure I could maybe make some money selling the babies. Now, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made with all my other animals. I'm going to build their house, their enclosure, their pen, before I buy the animal. I made that mistake in all my other animals, and I had to rush to build a place for them, and I kind of, cut a lot of corners, and it didn't work out that well. Just last week, my male goat snapped the fence posts in their enclosure, and I just used 2x4s, untreated 2x4s. I thought that would be enough. It isn't. And if you look closely at this wood, you can see that it's not rotted or decayed or no termites yet. There's sunken concrete, and the concrete footer stayed in the ground, but the 2x4 snapped right at the base. Goats are strong animals. You can see I still have a broken post. I'll have to figure out how to replace that. Not looking forward to digging up that concrete. But I know I put another post in between the two they snapped. And then I put another post here. And as you can see, it's holding the fence up okay for now. It won't last forever. I'll have to do it right. I have to figure out, first of all, where to put the pig pen. They recommend downwind, of course, but downwind for me might be upwind for my neighbor. So, and of course, there are setbacks to property lines and things like that. So I am taking all that into consideration, if you see behind me, it looks like a little road. This was scraped as a fire break about 5 years ago or so. And as you can see, it didn't really grow back yet. Things tend to grow back very slowly in the desert. So I figure can't do anything else with this spot, so put some pigs on it. Supposedly pigs can dig pretty well. So I'm going to sink my fence line down a foot or so just so they can't crawl under it. The dirt will kind of hold the fence a little bit, add a little bit extra strength. 12 inches deep might not be enough. I buried some fencing for my rabbits. I went 30 inches, 24 to 30 inches deep, depending on how hard that soil was. And the rabbits, took about 2 years for the rabbits to dig under. But pigs don't tunnel like rabbits, so I'm hoping I can just keep an eye on it, and when they start to go too deep, I'll fill it back in, tamp the soil a little bit, keep one step ahead of them. I hope. That might be a lesson learned, right? It's important to use woven wire fence, not the cheaper welded wire. As you can see, I put this section of fence to keep my goats from jumping up on my solar panels, but they have just destroyed this welded wire. And it didn't take them a long time to do it either. Just a couple months of rubbing up against the fence, and it just falls apart. As you can see, for my goat pen, I've used the woven wire, and it has a lot of give to it. And boy, do the goats put this through a workout. It's got this extra heavy gauge wire on the bottom and on the top. I'm not sure of the rules on selling livestock. When I bought my rabbits, my chickens, my goats, there was no paperwork I had to fill out as the buyer, and the sellers didn't offer me any paperwork. But I'm only going to get one breeding pair of animals first, in case I have to abort. I'll find use for a couple pigs. I'm going to start small. I know to be profitable, of course, there's the amount of money I spend on building the pen, and then there's cost of the animals, cost of food, of course, and I know another expense is if the little baby piglets die somehow, either natural causes or the mother squashes them or something. And that reduces your profit margin, so keeping them alive, I think, is one of the best things you can do. I might start with smaller pigs like the cooney or potbelly, the homesteader pigs. Number one, I don't want to compete with the industrial pig farmers. They can outperform me, no question about it. And they don't deal with the smaller pigs, so that's a little opportunity for me. Also, a 500-pound boar who's feeling a little stubborn. There's not much I can do with that. One thing I've learned for a small-scale, non-industrial, non-scientific, homesteading type breeding program is it's best to focus on one attribute. For example, with the rabbits, I wanted meat rabbits. Big rabbits that grow up fast. Now that meant that each generation turned all sorts of colors, looked really different than their parents. And also I noticed their friendliness decreased each generation, which wasn't great. Now, if I was selling pets, I would probably want them to be fluffy, and probably most important would be that friendliness. So it's important to have a clear idea of what you want. Are you breeding for looks, a show animal? If you're interested in eating the animal, of course, size and productivity. Animal husbandry and breeding better and better animals is an important part of homesteading. And hopefully this introductory video will set you on the right path. I'll keep you updated as things go along. See you next time.